Well, it's time to connect with the Shadow Assistant Minister for Regional SA. Mr. Ben Hood is on the line. Hi, Ben.
G'day, Damo, and g'day to all your listeners.
Just for the people at home, your origins, now you're in Mount Gambier now, but you originally Narracourt, Lucindale lad?
That's right, yeah. Grew up on the farm just south of Narracourt, just on the ridges of Bullagoon, there with my mum and dad. We had some mixed farming, fair few sheep, a little bit of cattle, bit of cropping, and really enjoyed the country lifestyle there, cleaning troughs, tearing around on the motorbike, bringing the sheep up, and just a great life. But did all my schooling in Narracourt and did my trade in Narracourt as well before me and my wife Elle. And my wife Elle was a viticulturalist, but got inspired to be a midwife. So we moved to Mount Gambier for her to study again.
Fantastic.
And she did her RN in mid-degree.
Yeah, right. Oh, it's a beautiful part of the world. My wife comes from Narracourt, so we both got lucky, if you could say that.
Exactly, spot on.
And you've got 3 kids. That must keep you busy outside of work hours.
Certainly does. Yeah, we've got 3 kids. Neve, who's 17, Piper, who's 12, and Arlo, who's 7. So a really good spread. Neve is in Year 12 this year, so a really exciting time for her, and she's just got her P's. But they're good kids. They keep us on our toes, and we love them.
Can't wipe the smile off your face because school holidays are coming to an end. Is that right?
I tell you what, exactly. If I hear I'm bored or I'm hungry one more time, I'll tell you what, I think I'll blow my top. But good to have the kids heading back to school.
It comes to us all. Ben, first time I've had the pleasure of speaking to you. What's on the agenda for 2024 in your electorate?
Well, look, being a member of the Legislative Council, I'm lucky enough to call the whole state my patch. But I do have a focus in and around the Limestone Coast, in the seat of Mount Gambier and the seat of McKillop. I'm the paired member for those because we, as a Liberal Party, don't hold them. They're both held by independents. So my real focus going into this year is continually listening to our regional communities. Nicole Flint, who some of your listeners may know, and myself have been doing a listening tour throughout McKillop, and we're going to be doing that through other regional electorates throughout the year. It's important that we listen to what's happening in the regional communities because at the end of the day, governments of the past have too easily reverse-engineered policy for the regions, thinking this is what they want, when it's not one size fits all, as your listeners would know. All the regions are different. We've got to make sure that we understand them and that we can form policy that's really practical and sensible for our regional communities. What we're hearing out and about, of course, is health. There's a huge issue with the disparity of health between our metro cousins and regional cousins. Our roads are crumbling. It's a terrible thing. People talk about ensuring that their car is roadworthy. I'd actually be putting it to the government of the day, are our roads car-worthy? They're in pretty dire straits throughout regional South Australia. That's something that we've really got to be focusing on as well. And education, something we've been hearing a lot of in our listening tours going around is regional centres, regional schools are struggling to find maths and science teachers. A lot of teachers are having to pick up that slack, and we know our teachers are under tremendous pressure as it is with all the things that they're asked to do. That maths and that science is something that we're really missing out on in education as well. The way that I see it, Damo, is currently in South Australia, and it has been for a very long time, we've got this city-state mentality. We've got 1.3 million people living in Adelaide. We've only got some 400,000 living in the regions. Governments obviously then look to that metro area, all those votes, all that 1.3 million people, and they can take their eye off the regions. So we've got to grow our regions. We've got to encourage industry to go into our regions. So we've got jobs in our regions, encourage young families to enjoy the regional lifestyle, move out there. And that's what I'm focused on, is to be a huge advocate for the regions. I know how great it is to live in a regional centre. I've done it my whole life, and I'll never leave. It's a long trip from Mount Gambier to Adelaide for Parliament, but I'll tell you what, I'll never leave the regions because I love them so much, and I know so many other people do, but we've got to do that work to grow the regions with practical, sensible policy, ensuring that our regional people are looked after.
I think the most important thing you touched on there, Ben, is listening, really important. You've got the flying hours, you've lived in the regions, you know what the issues are that are facing people, but actually listening to people who are going through certain things. And you touched on health. Attracting doctors and medical professionals, is that one of the struggles for regional areas?
Oh, absolutely. It's some regional centres are really in dire straits, and it's there's a whole heap of reasons of why this is happening. But governments just seem to be more than happy to spend just absorbent amounts on locums, flying locums into regional centres, when there's some really practical measures that we can make to encourage people to move out to the country. We should be having greater rotations of regional training and utilising regional centres like Narracourt and others. Obviously, I know that area well, being from there. But encouraging those young doctors to do rotations of training around regional centres, give them a taste of regional life. So hopefully that they want to go out and continue, to be regional doctors. And encouraging that is vitally important. But we're hearing it across the board from a health perspective, is that they're struggling to get doctors, regional GPs or rural GPs to stay in an area. We've got a case of a doctor in Robe who would like to retire, but unfortunately, if he does, that would leave that town without a doctor. And that's the kind of predicament we're in. And we've got to get serious if we want to solve it, because we can't just keep throwing good money after bad with people flying in and flying out. We need to ensure that we get those local doctors in there, and ensuring that we've got the specialists and the services that we need too. I've been very humbled and very proud to be a part of the Radiotherapy for the Limestone Coast campaign. Some 16,000 signatures taken into Parliament to tell the state government that we want radiotherapy in the Limestone Coast. There's some $4 million parked federally to be able to do that here in Mount Gambier, which would service such a broad region. But unfortunately, the government doesn't want to take it on. They are doing a feasibility study now, which I'm very thankful for. But to be able to have that in a regional centre like Mount Gambier will help people in Narracourt and Robe. And we should have more of those types of facilities all around our regional areas, in Whyalla, over in the EP and the YP and all around those places. So people don't need to travel those tremendous distances to be able to get the healthcare they deserve.
That's right, they're long-term solutions rather than a short-term Band-Aid. We're speaking to Ben Hood, the Shadow Assist Minister for Regional South Australia. Ben, I guess the other two big topics that are just constant that you'd be putting pressure on the government is the housing shortage and, of course, cost of living. Everyone's suffering from that.
Oh, they certainly are. We are hearing it wherever we go, most especially from industry who want to be able to grow their industry, but unfortunately they don't know where actually that they could put the workers, even if they did get them. Now, there can be some innovative solutions for these types of things to be able to encourage development in our regional centres. Now, we know that if a developer came into a regional centre, they'd be expected to stump up a lot more money than if they were going to develop in a metro area, which makes it hard for the developers. And of course, there's not the capital growth in the regions as they might get in metro areas as well. So you can't blame a developer who's looking at their bottom line to say, well, I'm probably just going to focus on the metro instead of the regions. I think there's a role for government to play in that, to ensure that the developers can come into our regional centres and build those houses up. It's important that we support those people. It's important that we have some really practical policies from stamp duty perspective. Stamp duty is a horrible tax. It shouldn't really be there. It puts a handbrake on people, from older people wanting to downsize, which opens up stock of family homes to young families. And it also puts an impost on young people trying to get into the market as well, because they may save up for the deposit. They may think that they've got there, and the bank turns around and says, well, up to 13% of that's going to be sucked out by stamp duty. You're going to have to raise another $20,000. So I think there's some really practical stuff that we can do from a regional perspective within stamp duty to encourage downsizing, to encourage young people to be able to get into their homes, and also free up some stock so we can encourage people to move in, so we can have those homes for the industry that are crying out for workers and things like that as well. So some really exciting stuff that myself and my colleagues are working on in that housing space as well.
Magnificent. And it would be remiss of me not to mention your younger sister, Lucy. She is in the same occupation as your good self. She said some lovely things when you first went into politics, but is there a rivalry that's emerging?
I must say I love my sister. I'm Lucy's big brother and she's my little sister. I stayed in the regions. Lucy went to the city. she fell in with the wrong crowd, became a Labor MP. I mean, I do say that in jest, but of course we are on opposite sides of politics. But Lucy's in the lower house. I'm in the upper house. We're a bit more civilised in the upper house, so I try and bite my tongue a bit around Lucy, but we do have a few digs at each other, especially over Christmas time. We had a fair bit of laughs as well. But Lucy, love her to bits. Unfortunately, there's a problem child in every family, and Lucy's ours. So.
And can I ask the most important question of the day? Who do you follow in the AFL?
Well, there may be some listeners that spitting out their coffee or throwing things at the radio at this point, but I'm a Collingwood man.
Well, you have the chocolates at the moment, so there's no arguments.
Certainly do.
Yes,
there
indeed.
Is no arguments there.
Not at all.
The chocolates at the moment.
Ben, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for your time. We'll keep in touch throughout 2024. I'm sure there'll be plenty to discuss.
Yeah, certainly will. Thank you, Damo, and thank